a lot of people ask me about Khabib, and that fight, I want it to happen. Khabib wanted to happen, but UFC did not want to happen.
Between you and Khabib.
Yes, and we tried to make it like about 3 years ago when I retired. It was after 2 years ago, and it didn't never came to fruition. The UFC were clear. They said they have other plan for Khabib, and it makes sense for the business standpoint because they want to keep the ball rolling. Now Khabib retired, and like everybody else, after Justin Gaethje, I was doing the commentator in French for the UFC, and I had butterfly. I thought he was going to call me out. And if there's one guy that I would have said yes, it would be him, because for a fighter, the most exciting things to do, it's often the scariest one. And Khabib was worth
He's the scariest matchup for
yes, but he was worth the risk because nobody have ever been able to solve them.
How would you solve the Khabib Nurmagomedov puzzle?
Well, Khabib is very good against the fence. I would have to establish a game plan and everything, but I think what I would need it to do is take the center of the octagon right away. Use a lot of feint and fate. Keep the fight all the way out or all the way in. And when I say all the way in is when you close the gap, use my proactive and reactive takedown and perhaps my superior explosivity to put him down. I like to use those proactive and reactive takedown because for me, I feel it's more economical. Khabib is a much better chain wrestler than me. Chain wrestler is when you get the guys to the fence, it's pure wrestling. What makes my takedown very efficient? It's my karate. It's not my wrestling. I'm very good at timing my opponent and getting in with my explosivity. So if you watch at my takedown, it does not demand a lot of work. When I call it proactive takedown, when he's coming to punch me and I react. So proactive is when I'm faking it. So I instigate the takedown by a fake, then I take him down. And reactive is when I'm baiting him to throw something, then I'm
a counter. Yeah.
Yes, but all my takedowns
in the center of the octagon.
Yes, my takedowns are more in the center of the octagon. Like for example, another guy that does it well is Gleason Tebow, that did it well in his best days. Khabib has more a style of chain wrestling, I would say, like Kamaru Usman, so to speak, kind of guy. It's a different style. You cannot compare both styles. And that's the kind of takedown I'm good. And if I would have fight Khabib, that's one of the strategies I would have adopted. I would not have been afraid because everybody that I fought, I was able to put them down. And I have the pedigree to prove it in my fight resume. So you would have perhaps see him on his back, and I would have perhaps be on my back as well. So it would have been a very interesting fight. And
how hard do you think he is to take down? I mean, a lot of people speak about his wrestling being just...
It has nothing to do with the wrestling because...
It has to do with the karate.
If I got the timing and I got my both hand around his knees, he's going down.
Everybody goes down,
Yes, he goes down. And I had a lot of... that's what I would have adopted. I would not have been afraid of his wrestling. I would have been the instigator. I would have forced the fight forward. And that's how I would have approached that fight, which I believe most of his opponents were afraid of his wrestling because they didn't have the tools that I have to put him down. I would not have forced the wrestling. I would have, in the clinch, I would have tried to disengage. I have many ways to disengage the clinch. I would have wanted to force the fight in a fighting distance, like in a shoot box distance, not in a wrestling distance.
Is it possible this fight still happens? You're young, look great in the suit.
Well, there's a lot of problems now, and the thing is, now I made peace with it. I no longer don't want to fight, and it's not gonna happen. UFC was not interested, and I'm bound by contract with the UFC and by exclusivity. There's some people says to me, "Oh, how about if Russians are a crazy, wealthy Russian guy come with the money?" I said, I'm gonna be in court with UFC, and also I'm older now, and when I go home, man, I'm like, I don't want to do this, like
But
I
you
don't
were
like.
always like this.
No, but I don't want to do this. But like, for example, I was training with Freddie Roach a few
Yeah.
days ago, and I'm hitting pads,
Yeah.
pa 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 pa, and Freddie's looking at me, and he's like, "Hey, you have the hitch back." I'm like, "Yeah." If Dana White would walk in the room in the gym at that precise moment with a UFC contract, I would sign it in the blink of an eye. But then after I go home, I'm like, hell no, I don't want to fight. My belly is full. I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. Why would I want to fight for? I made peace with it. But the minute I go back in the gym, because I still get it inside me, when I train with the young guys, I still get it. And a lot of guys think, hey, tell me the truth. You're preparing a comeback, because I still get it. I'm a little bit older, but I got more knowledge. I can compensate. I become a different animal, because it changed you. But then after you go home and you're like, man, no way I'm doing this. It's very hard to explain. You need to be a fighter to understand that. It's very, very hard to explain.
Well, from your perspective, I think Khabib is one of the few fascinating scientific puzzles yet to be solved. So from that aspect, as a martial artist, it's just a fascinating journey to try to solve that puzzle.
There's a thing too, like we say, oh, who's the best fighter? People, Lex, they don't like. I realized that later in my life, and I'm sure a lot of young guy will say, oh, St-Pierre, don't speak for me, but I'm telling you right now, what I'm about to say, you will realize it later. When I was young, I think you can proclaim yourself the badass man on the planet, like nobody can beat you at. It's an illusion, man.
That's the sad thing about, for example, DC. Daniel Cormier is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest heavyweight of all time. You said Miocic, but like, it's almost because of that little matchup with John Jones, it's difficult for people to conceive of him as the greatest of all time.
It's all about matchup. It's all about timing. And also you make a fight, you make both guys fight 10 times. The result might be different. Like every time, maybe he's going to win 8 out of 10. But that night he's gonna lose. Why? Because we don't know the universe made it like that. Maybe he got sick. Maybe he had the emotional issues. He didn't sleep well, and he makes him lose focus, and he got caught. We don't know. But it's that's the thing with people ask me, would you have done it with Khabib? What would happen? I don't know. Maybe out of 10 times, I don't know. Maybe as a fighter, I hope I would have won more than him. But he thinks the opposite. There's only one way to find out, but that night, if there's a fight, the guy that's gonna win doesn't mean he's the best fighter. That's mean he's the one that fought the best the night of the fight. Same thing in basketball or hockey. The team that wins the game, it's not necessarily the best team. It's the team that play the best the night of the game. And fighting is no different. So being the baddest man on the planet, it's an illusion.
I mean, that's the tragic thing about it is on any one night, anything can happen, and that tells a story for all of human history. It's sad. It's sad to think about, but that's what makes it beautiful. That there's so much at stake, like entire lives, all the dreams you've had growing up, all the hard work, all of it is decided in a single night. Yeah. Even though that means nothing in terms of who's actually better. It's, I mean. That's the beauty. That's why people love the Olympics, especially because it happens so rarely, and dreams are broken, or like triumph is achieved by the unlikely hero, all like right there. I mean, that's why we love it, right? That's why. That's why we love it.
If we would know always the result before, it would be boring. That's why we do it.